Like, can I talk to you for a moment before you go to the woods?
Yeah.
Over this weekend, maybe even today, I'm thinking of giving Eliza a pretty serious talk and showing her a lot of stuff. And I know you already kind of gave the go-ahead on that, but especially with how much chaos is going on and whatever happened today, I want to do one final check with you. To show her, I mean, to show her pretty much everything.
I mean, do it.
Okay.
Shit's over. We got nothing. Might as well just fucking full send. Who gives a shit?
Alright.
We failed. Yet again.
Not yet.
Oh, you're right. Not yet. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay.
Good luck.
Thanks. I'm gonna need it.
I don't know what other emotion to ascribe other than awake. At least I'm not so willfully blind to what constitute as fair or just. Because things aren't simply black and white. Being a law-abiding citizen doesn't automatically make you a good person. Sometimes some motherfuckers just need to die.
Very true. I think it's a tough realization to have to come to. And not everybody actually reaches that point where, you know, they witness the amount of just pure corruption and evil in the world. They're never really forced into a situation where they have to respond a certain way that maybe wakes them up from their past life and the way they had once thought about the world. Now, you know what? Why don't you take a seat?
Right here?
Yeah, anywhere. We've, over the past month or 2 months, 3 months, you know, you, Lang, and I have done a lot of work on looking into the Faceless and the things they are doing. And there's been such a, I guess, focus on changing the way you think and the people that you can trust, and a focus on developing a certain mindset of compartmentalizing the work we do versus every other aspect of your life. And we had that conversation on the tower where I told you, you know, you can walk away from this and that'll be the end of it. Or we can keep doing this work but if there's a situation where you can't develop that mindset, where you trust somebody again where you give information out too freely, the consequences, I mean, it would be your life. Now, that's a very serious thing to say to somebody. That's a very serious... I'm not even gonna call it a threat because I think it's more of a inevitable promise. When you agreed to that, when you didn't walk away in that moment, why? Why did you make that decision?
I was given a choice, right? I could either evolve to do better, be a more true version of myself, or I could turn around and become that again. That constantly weeping, terrified creature. Always talking about wanting to do something to stop whatever the fuck is happening, but ultimately being powerless to do it. I was convinced that having an open heart would welcome all of the good in the world in. If you're going to do that, you're welcoming the rot in as well. We don't live in a fairy tale of Craft or Kiflom trees. Yes, there are powers in the universe I don't understand, but
Don't make me
I've
laugh
done more
in
than
chat,
my
please.
fair
I'm trying to be
share of
serious.
speaking. It's probably more than my due time to shut up and listen for once. That is why I made that choice. I don't know if you heard, but someone I once considered a sister, EJ, is back in town.
I did hear that.
There was a time where I would have considered her my sister. Would have wanted to tell her anything. Even though I had to punch it up on the phone. Because I didn't want to make her think anything drastic has changed. I didn't care that she was back. Because all I could think was, what are the odds that she goes, runs to Ashton and Diego, and tells every single microcosm of the conversation we've just had? I think that's when I realized I'm truly... I don't need to wear the hat anymore. If that makes sense.
When we set off those bombs, sorry, let me rephrase that. When you set off the bombs at the Epsilon building, not knowing if anybody was inside, people that you'd been close with for a very long time. When we took out many FIB agents to get that man and essentially hand him over to the Faceless for them to do God knows what. I mean, we can only assume from what we've seen with Denzel, it wouldn't be pretty. how do you feel about those things that you did?
The people inside the Epsilon building. Decided to remain there, knowing everything that building constitutes, right? There's no willful ignorance there. They know what Ashton's done. They know what Diego did and has tried to do. And yet they choose to stay there. They're complicit. For the FIB agents, I mean, they chose that life, didn't they?
Now, we can probably spend hours, days, weeks, months in here going over this information, mapping it out, and to be honest, we will. But I need to make things clear. If anybody had maybe 1% of the information that you just read or heard, they would be dead simply for knowing it. I know there's been a lot of times when you probably had a million questions running through your brain as to why things went a certain direction, or certain things were said, or the way I acted or Lang acted. I have to make this very clear. Yes, on that tower, I told you, if there was another slip up, I would kill you. You knowing what you know now, even if you don't fully understand it, just some simple words alone puts your life in so much danger, extreme risk. And I'm not talking about from the faceless or people that might want to try and figure out what information you have. I'm talking about the risk of your own actions, who you speak to, who you trust, what you do, the way you think, what you're able to separate and not. If one day some terrible shit happens and you snap, or you reach a point where emotionally you feel like you can't take it, or anything like that, if you start to grow some old morals that you once had, I will not hesitate for even a second. Even if it trends in that direction and you haven't taken a full step backwards. Because that is how serious this is. Everything is much bigger than it seems. And it is a terrifying position to be in. And when Lang has said it's a lonely life, that is because it needs to be. Cannot trust anybody. I have no friends. Genuinely, I have no friends. That is out of necessity. That is out of protecting myself, my own life, and things bigger than myself. cannot express in words alone how much I've essentially just thrown you into the deep end of trying to navigate the toughest situation you will ever have to figure out. The things that I have seen, have been through, have experienced, the amount of time that it took for me to receive, I mean, even an ounce of the information that was just dropped on you. I was extremely fortunate to be able to learn along the way. But we don't really have the time for that right now. And if we're gonna figure this shit out, if we are going to stand even a chance at not waking up to a city completely run by the faceless, I mean, even more so than it is now, and this third group and man in white and whatever the fuck else we didn't even predict to be on this playing field. I have to be able to trust in your decision making. And I'm not talking about your decision making to do things on your own. I'm talking your decision making to not speak to anybody about anything, to check in with me if you have even a thought about something. I cannot express to you how serious that is. Some of the things you've read, I would not even say out loud. This is the only time you'll ever hear me say it out loud, read it out loud, even think it in my brain. If you want me to be perfectly honest with you, Eliza, after what we've been through, I think I am kind of pushed into a position of sharing this with you right now, out of necessity. I have a lot of paranoias about it. I worry that you are an emotional person, and that can be very detrimental. Because you cannot afford to break in any regard. You cannot. It is life or death. It is bigger than life or death. There can be no weaknesses when it comes to this.
I understand. And I should have caught on to the weight of the situation sooner.
don't necessarily fault you for that in the past. Because it is a very complicated thing to even begin to understand 1%. And I've had a lot of experiences, let's say, that have kind of shown me the way. This building alone is, I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes I think it's alive.
Speak with so much conviction.
It's very invigorating. Okay.
Okay. From now on, if we are going to speak about anything related to any of this, it will happen in here. Outside of very specific incidents where I may pull you aside. Outside of the faceless, anything that we've read in any of these documents and these notes, we will not speak out loud unless it is in here.
I will not initiate a conversation about this. Unless we are here and unless I have actually something of substance to say to you. That is my promise.
All right. Now, who the fuck is that?